Good morning, everyone. Venderman here. We're gonna try to jump into some of these charts here in just a second. See if we get some people on here. Before I start breaking down anything on the charts. All right, we got about 10 minutes before the market opens. I'm going to go ahead and jump on to the chart so we can have a look at some things. All right. I'm going to hop this over. I'm going to take this over to the 4-hour chart real quick. We can kind of have a look, see what's going on the 4-hour. Look at our trend lines and our boxes. Try to get this zoomed in a little bigger. So here, down here, we have a 4-hour trend line right here. On the bottom side, top side, we got a red trend line, bearish line. So we got a 4-hour precision entry zone from about 44, 45 to 55. And then to the downside, we have a 4-hour zone from 65 to 75. We got a little 1-hour. Well, this can be considered a 4-hour now. This green one here. So we're gonna switch the color on that to a 4-hour Pez zone. So this 4-hour down here, about 810. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 810 to 820. And then our golden, where's our golden pivot at here? Our golden pivot is right here somewhere. It's right on the 50 EMA, around 965. Let's hop this down to the 15-minute real quick. Yeah, sure thing, room beats. We're gonna start trying to do them. We'll be doing them probably about 5 days a week if you want to join in. Here on the 15-minute, things are looking, of course, the overall market is still bearish on the high time frame, and it's that as well on the lower time frames. It's pretty much try to short the pops and be careful on your entries if you try to take any longs. Probably, I don't know if I'm going to trade it all in the first 15 minutes. I might sit it out and let them put in that 15-minute candle so I can draw a zone there. But of course, you can see here on the 15-minute, we're right now below the golden pivot. I traded overnight. Well, not overnight. I traded yesterday evening when the market opened. And of course, it was dropping when the market opened last night. And I did pretty good on the drop there. Overnight, you can see that right here it had this drive up. It had this drop here. And then we got this here. And then these legs drove up, you know, like from midnight to where we are now. And then turned around up here. So this right here is kind of, even though we got this 4-hour zone up here, this right here is kind of line in the sand. Let's say this is a 15-minute. I'm going to grab a box. We're going to draw us a box right here. We got this cluster up here. So it's around about 25,000. Let's go from 25,000 to 990, say. Depends on how they open this up. You know, it could blow through this, but this is worth looking at because of this cluster. after this drive, it could, say it gets above the golden pivot, tag this zone at the open, and then keep going down if we're going to keep that bearish bias on the market. We still got about 5 minutes to till the market opens. I've been testing out a new trade that I've been using the kill zone indicator for about a week and a half now, that has been turning out a pretty good high win rate. And so I'm going to keep trying to implement that as much as I can during the day, every day. I'm going to drop this down. Let's drop this down to the 1 minute now that we got a bigger time frame picture. I appreciate that, Room Beats. I hope that any of it helps. The shorts or any of the long form stuff. Maybe doing these lives every day, maybe it might help. I'm about patience over anything else. What's up, RSI guy? Gonna have to be safe here at the open. We got about 4 minutes, and then now we have that 15-minute precision entry zone, you know, which they can pierce right through that depending on how the market opens today. But we'll definitely be eyeballing that 4-hour zone up top. It's hard to imagine that they're going to try to. You just got to be careful. You never know when they're actually going to try to drive this market up real fast, real hard. You just got to be prepared at what level that if they do decide to do that. Because of us being in a bearish downtrend, I would prefer to take the short than the guess on the long, because we can pretty much eyeball where we're going to find some heavy resistance at, which will give us a better opportunity for great entry. You know, if they open it up and the ATR shoots up to, say, you know, between 30 and 50 on the 1 minute, which I'm sure that's what's going to happen. It seems that's an everyday thing anymore. I'll probably just sit out and watch and put a game plan around what I'm seeing once the market opens, and maybe once I see the first 15-minute candle close. What's the RSI guy been up to lately? Got about 30 seconds left before the market opens. Oh, wow. New gig with the same company or different company? We got a already extended here, over bought on the 1, the 2, and the 5. So I'm gonna be looking for some rejection when this opens. Like I said, it could pierce through the 15-minute. It might be that 4-hour up there that we need to be eyeballing. Well, congratulations, man. Yeah, ATR is at 30 on the 1 minute. Is the new gig gonna allow you to have more time to trade? $36. I see we got that 4-hour box here it's coming up on. Plus we have that overhead trend line. That's about 75 from where we're at on this candle. They never did fill that gap that they put in when the market opened and it dropped. You know, they might try to drive, if they drive a parenthetic trend line, they'll almost fill that gap though. So I think I'll just sit on my hands for right now. Let this thing breathe a little bit and see what it wants to do. See, we're getting a lot of rejection out of that area with all them wicks up top. Are they thinking about draining this off for the rest of the day already? Or are they trying to fake us out? ATR is almost up to 40 on the 1 minute, about 38. I see here either that golden pivot's going to have to save this, or maybe a sweep of that 50 EMA. Maybe down here around this 950 area if they want to sweep this 50. If they want to continue this leg up, they need to save that down here if they keep bringing it down. That'd have been a pretty good play, playing the golden pivot when it just retested. You got to be careful playing them plays here at the open of the market, though. Every bounce is getting met by overhead resistance pretty heavy. A lot of scalping opportunity going on with all this whipping around at the beginning, but sometimes I do play that. Sometimes I don't. I try to stay away from it. It's not really worth it sometimes, and then sometimes it is, but you know, there's some big moves inside these 1 minute candles. Not looking the greatest, that's for sure. See if they sweep this and go take this up. I think they're going to try to take us down today again. What's new, right? Well, now if they can get down to this 4 hour zone with some speed, I think I might try to take that trade. Room beats. If you're asking about the trading that box, no, I'd be trying to buy in that box to go long that 4 hour zone. If we get down in this 4 hour zone down here, I would be looking to go long. And you really never want to choose to try to keep, if you take a trade short, like after missing all this, it really ain't worth getting in this short, especially if its kill zone indicator is way down here in the oversold territory. That's a bad idea. But everything's always going to look really bearish whenever you're going to get where you might find a bounce, and that's why a lot of these plays work the way they do. Not really trying to give us the bounce that I was looking for, at least not yet. Hadn't found any legs under it, but if it does, this is going to shoot. I mean, there's a good chance it tries to get back to 950. It's got to find the buyers though. Of course, I'm going to follow mine with a stop, and I'm usually always following it way too tight, so I'll probably get stopped out like that. But I'd rather take what gains I can get than to lose them and let it come back and be close to break even. Now we got break of structure here on the 1 minute trying. And so if we can, then the next idea here is going to be the 50 EMA at 948. You know, if we get the push, we might get the rejection here for another leg down. So be careful with that. They could even try to sweep this 50 EMA, tag that golden pivot for another leg down. It's hard to get bullish on any kind of trade right now in this market. And if you do, then you got to be quick to know where to take profit at. So like if you was going to buy this break of structure right here on the 1 minute, I would be targeting my take profit at, you know, probably between 940 and 945 is where my take profit would be just in that one trade. Quick in for break structure, quick out at the next. But see, now it can't even break it. It wants to reject here. So question is, are we going to get another leg down? And if we do, we have another 4-hour zone right here, 810 to 820. Then, of course, we got our S1 pivot here. You know what? I'm going to switch over to the 4-hour real quick and make sure this is right. I want to make sure I don't have something off as far as them boxes go, because something don't look right to me, but it might be. Okay, yeah, it's all right. So yeah, we got all them 4-hour boxes in the right spot. So we'll just have to wait and see if it wants to take this structure out right here and tag this next one. But like I say, it could, but I think we're going to have more downside here coming in. If we do, I'd be looking to maybe these 4-hour zones, if it does get drugged down through here, these 4-hour zones is where the highest confluence of opportunity would be for a bounce if you wanted to play along. But that don't mean along as in I'm going to get in here and hold it the rest of the day. It might be you get the bounce out of here, it might retest this 4-hour box or this previous day close or whatever this line is here, and then before coming down and testing the S1 pivot. And then we got a 4-hour box down here. Now this will be a good one. Not only we got a 4-hour Pez zone here with a 4-hour trend line in it. That would be a great place to take a trade long maybe. They seem to be holding it though so far, so. Got the feel when we got the feel here on the 5 cons on here. I was copy trading that, so ended up hitting just under 150 bucks in 6 accounts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So that wasn't too bad of a hit there. Like to get a little more into those though. I never did put in that 15-minute zone. We'll go over here and check that out. put that in. Let's see here. Grab us a tool. Region box. That was from about right there to right there. So basically, we swept that opening range break and it's pulling it back inside. So we'll see how that plays out. Since they look like they want to, excuse me, reject off of the 50 EMA there, you know, they could try to retest this 4-hour zone, but since I already took a trade on the first reaction of that 4-hour zone, I would have to really like something I'm seeing in the chart to play it again, because if they turn this down, this could be a leg down. Could, like I said, come tag this other 4-hour box. If they want to try to keep this to the upside, though, they're going to have to, you know, not take this box out. You know, maybe they get back down to 865 or so, but they're going to have to protect this low right here if they do come down here. I would think that if they do come down here and they break out of the bottom of this opening range break again, then our box, and break that 4-hour, then we might see a bigger move to the downside possibly. Excuse me. All right, see you, RSI guy. Glad you was able to show up today, buddy. Appreciate that. Anybody taking any trades today that's on so far? Or is everybody still sitting on their hands? ATR's dropped quite a bit. We're down to 20 on the 1 minute. So it's been cut in half here just in like the last few minutes. So maybe they're going to slow things down and this smooth out a little bit. Maybe be a little less choppy. I don't know how much I would be expecting them to pierce through this box right here. I don't really think they're going to try to save it down here. And if we do take out, you know, say 855 area, be expecting a pretty quick drop on down to, let's have a look here. Yeah, if they take out 855, you need to be thinking 835, 840. It could shoot down there pretty quick. Say they candle closes below this wick right here, it could just wick down real fast right in this area, but then maybe get a little bounce before continuation down to the downside. Almost every one of these pops is usually a drop, you know, You see they retested this golden pivot back here and it sucked down. Now let's see if they want to drive this up or trap a bunch of people in this area. Of course, we're still in the opening range, so more like a wait and see type thing right now. Being patient will keep you in the game longer if you wait for your trade to come to you. It can get boring sitting there waiting for your trade to come to you, but it typically tends to be the safest trade. Sort of in the chop zone. But it's hard to jump in a trade and go short right here, because then within this chop, what if you get in here and then they decide to drive the golden pivot? That's a bad trade, going against you that far. And then I don't want to get in it here long and then they retest this box for a bounce. It's kind of a standstill in between, kind of like that there. They just tested the box. Now are they going to suck this up, or are we going to get the break I'd been talking about, take this low out and get a shot down here to about 835, 840? I guess we'll see in a minute. I said earlier, they need to stay above 865, the bottom of this box, to protect this low to bounce this, but that's just not the market we're in right now. Everything's been really bearish, so ideally what you would think is they're going to take this out, shoot this down into this area right here, might even be a really fast candle, and then eventually tag this 4-hour zone. But it's hard to short anywhere around here, because we're so oversold already. The ideal short would be if it comes back up here and tests the 50 or the golden pivot again, to maybe take a short. And see, this could be the start of a bigger leg down throughout the day. Now that we broke out of the range, if this closes down here and we don't get this bounce, that opening range in a 15-minute, maybe this comes up and retest it or something. But I think we're going to keep going down. Although I'll try for a bounce play out of this 4-hour zone, maybe target 10, 20 points to the upside if we get down here. Put us some visual aids there on the chart so we can kind of see on the overhead. In case they try to take some legs up here, you can see, ideally I was thinking they might just run this up and try to test that 50 EMA. If that works its way over here into this trend line, you could be expecting maybe a test of that area soon for another leg down. Maybe we can get this order filled here for a bounce play out of this zone. Come down there and tag that 835 to 840 I was talking about 839 or so. ATR's back up to about 30, going towards 40. No, it just dropped. ATR's all replaced by about 10 ticks or better. Sometimes 15. It's moving pretty quick. Anybody have any questions or anything while we're waiting, or while I'm waiting? maybe sooner or later it'll get to the entry zone. I think the ATR is probably lower than what it's showing. It's saying it's up around 20 still, but the price action don't show that. We keep putting in lower highs again. It's just the same scenario as always. You know, drove up, lower highs up here, this big drop, lower high, and then this here is trying to test this right here, which was a lower high. So if they can take us down, oh, looks like they want to say it's indecisive, touch that 50 EMA, they're going to try to sweep it maybe. That's looks like a trap. What levels are you guys watching right now? Throw them in chat if you want to. Mm-mm. Well, that turned into a pretty clean trade. It was pretty much a quick scalp, but it fell in line with a trade setup that I've been watching a lot lately with the kill zone indicator. So sometimes it just takes a lot of patience. Or you could be a high frequency trader and just trade a whole bunch of whatever every day. I see people doing that all the time. Taking trades with no rhyme or reason, just they got to be in a trade, I guess. Nothing here makes a whole lot of sense right now. It's still pretty much chopped sideways. You know, we need some kind of trend one way or another, or a bigger move one way or another. So we know, are we looking for a long play? Are we looking for a short play? Trading about 898. That this down here on this 4-hour trend line, that's over about a 150 point move or so. Hard move down to that area would be a nice trade probably if it got there fast, but you know, it would have to get away from this whole whatever it's doing sideways here. It's very indecisive. It would have to be, you know, leg down, leg down, leg down, and hit it pretty fast. And then I would take that long down in this area in this box. What is that? 755, 765. That is if we got down there. Not to say we won't get some sort of reaction out of these zones right here if we get this leg down. I can tell you if we take this low out on this wick right here at about 839.25, if it takes this out, we're going to this zone fast. So far, what the day's proven to be is, you know, any trade that comes to the 50 EMA, you know, go short at the 50 EMA every time it tags it, and then just follow a stop or use an ATM or take profits or something. I mean, that seems to be the rhythm of the day right now. And well, not just today, it's been other days as well. That's how it was last night when the market opened. Once it took the drop down, it was like every touch or close to a touch or a sweep of the 50 EMA was a great place to take a short trade. I'd like to take one more trade here in this accounts that I'm copy trading. I got some Bullinox evals I want to try to pass today. Maybe. Depending on what the market will give us, what we can take from it. if this is going to bring us the move that we've been looking for to the downside here to tag this box. It don't really look very good on the 1 minute, 2 minute, or 5 minute. Here we are with another tag of the 50 EMA. Don't know. It's just not showing enough upside strength to really make me think it's going to try to do anything to the upside. I'll be right back on, guys. Sorry about that, guys. That took longer than I thought. I walked away from my computer and I didn't even put a stop in there in case I got triggered. That wasn't very good on my part. Well, I hope everybody's been making some green today, if they have been trading. I've just been trying to be patient. ATR is pretty low now. All of a sudden it's back down to about 12. I mean, could be a slow bleed today here. See if they can come down here and trigger in this 4-hour zone and maybe give me a little bounce on these contracts here. Be nice to lock in another $100 or so. That got a little too close there and sucked back up without picking it up. So I'm gonna take that trade off of there. That was way too close. That wick was way too close for comfort for me for it to suck up like that. Because if it does push back down and even pick it up, we may not get the bounce that I want to get, and it just go out the bottom side of this 4-hour box. I hate that it did it that way, but what do? You got to do whatever the market's doing. So I'd be interested in taking a short trade somewhere up here. If we could get a decent bounce up here somewhere. 40 or 50 points or better back to the upside maybe. Might be worth taking a short trade. Maybe a test of this 4-hour box back up here again. That 50 EMA is working its way down in here. Once it gets up, if it could get up here, 875. Yeah, 875 area maybe. 873. would be a good place where I would like to take a short if it would get there. It's got to get there first, though. And then it really depends on what it looks like once it gets there. We got a, it's kind of like back here when we had this drop and it swept the 50, dropped, swept the 50, dropped harder, never made it back up, swept the 50, then a bigger leg down here, you know, then it spiked up here and tested the 50 and sucked back down. So really, ideally what I'd be looking for is, let's say we had this green candle, I'd like to see this candle close pretty much right up here somewhere, and then shoot this candle on up here somewhere, and even if they got to step it up, but get back up here and sweep that so that I can see if it looks like a good play for a short. And then if there just isn't a trade to take, then there's no trade to take. There's no reason to force a trade or take a trade that ain't part of your plan or any strategies that you use, because then it's forcing trades, and forcing trades is what causes problems. I'd rather just keep staring at the chart and reading it and doing technical analysis and coming up with my plans and my strategies on what trades I want to take, and wait for that price action to come to what I think looks like a good trade. And it seems that profitable trading is usually boring trading. Keeping your head clear and sitting on your hands, two of the biggest things you need to always do. Emotions in check and sitting on them hands. Making sure you don't let that fear of missing out get you. That FOMO. No, you got to be able to even see a good trade. Say it spikes right here on the chart, and we get a hard leg up and something else. You don't want to be late to the. Typically, by the time some of them trades happen and people start chasing, they are just way too late. The entry ain't after that move happens. It's being able to know that that move's about to happen and getting in it at the proper time, or waiting for that first big leg up and seeing what kind of structure it builds instead of just hitting the buy button. Normally I'd be all about some pivot plays, but I don't know if I'm feeling that today as far as first reaction with the way this market is. But I do like this trade right here, and I would love for it to come down there and tag it pretty fast. We got us a 4-hour trend line down here going through a 4-hour precision entry zone. And, hopefully we would get some pretty hard reaction off of that if it gets down here. say we could get a bounce down here out of this area, I would be thinking, you know, surely it would bounce back to this S1 pivot 790 or so. At least that'd be a 30 point from where we're at if it were to tag that buy limit. Because you would still have to be careful even if we did bounce here. We're not in the trend of where it's going to tag this and make a V shape and 300 points. That's just not the market we've been trading the last few weeks. So it'd be more like tag this, give me my 30 points right here. I want out for another leg down is what it would probably do. But we'll see how it plays out. With that said, I mean, it could pierce right through that trend line. But I think I'm willing to put up some risk right there because I think it would be a good trade. Anybody else out there plan on trading the trend line, 4-hour trend line? If you use them. Nice to see you, AK. Yeah, me too. I hope. Maybe we get the bounce. Wow. Well, I don't like the way that worked. Here we go. We'll see what we can get. Not a lot of buying pressure, it don't look like, but we'll see. As soon as it does, if it moves up just a little up here, I'm going to be putting a stop in. So if I get stopped out, I might not make much off of it. Come on, push. Come on. Keep going. Come on, don't stop me out. I knew that was going to happen. Man. Now watch it go up there. I think that's just gonna, I'm getting back in down here in this thing. I don't believe they're gonna be trying to do all that. I think it's gonna try to bounce. Good job, AK. Patience pays. Patience pays. Too tight. Oh well. I'll save that trade. I'm gonna quit messing around with that. I was figuring they might just try to sweep this 4-hour zone right here and then drive us back up. Maybe the S1 pivot, maybe a little higher, but the whole market's too weak the way it's been trading lately. It might not do that on a day where if the bias on the overall trend was bullish, that's something that would typically happen. You know, if they tried to make a sweep like this, you could expect for sure that they'd drive it back up that high, possibly even this 4-hour zone up here, but that's just not the market we're trading in right now. I'm happy for you, AK. That's awesome that you caught 200 off that easy. That was seamlessly pretty much a emotion free trade. I mean, knew what the trade plan was. And that's how it's supposed to work. Let them come to you and don't force them. Now what we're going to have down here is man, another 4-hour zone down here. 680, 690. Yeah, 680 to 690. Do we get there? Probably. Yeah, but now look at that. Look at this back here. That's if we do get this drop and they want to protect this low, say about the middle of this box down here around 685. Now that could be a runner, because look at the move it made out of that zone. So I'll be watching this zone pretty close. You would really think they would want to protect that low to the left inside this box right here. I'll probably try my luck down here in this zone just with a couple and see if they do want to protect it, because it could get a, everything's been oversold so heavy. We've been trading sideways on the indicator down in the oversold zone for a while now. Everything's bled off pretty heavy. It might be time for that bounce to roll in, a decent bounce. Wow. Once again, almost tagged my order and then sucked up. Now I don't know if I like that. Yeah, that's what I thought. See, now we got the previous day low here at the prior low at 677. So if they break that 4-hour zone and take out that low, it could get pretty ugly pretty fast if they take that out. So one of two scenarios is going to happen here. They're going to bounce out of this box and take some take a drive to the upside, or they're going to sweep this low, maybe sweep this low at 677, maybe tag this green zone for the bounce, or they're just going to pierce through that low and bleed this off even further, which that could get pretty nasty. So we'll see which scenario they want to take here. This is one of them situations where it's hard. You don't really want to front load on anything. First reaction trades and all that. You don't want to mess with any of that, because it's really undetermined what this might do right here. So we tagged the bottom of the 4-hour zone. Looks like it wants to push up here some, which is fine if that's what it does. That's one of 3 scenarios that could happen. And in order, you know, if they do want to take this to the upside, we need to wait for some break of structure on the chart to start building before trying to go long. Otherwise, this could just be a fake out. They could trade it sideways, take it back down. I'm really shocked that my thinking would be they would try to sweep this low, this prior low at 677. Which means they could possibly get all the way into this green box when they sweep it. It depends on how hard the sweep is. There's probably people there protecting positions, maybe. You know, like the big guys. And if they take this out, it might be a hard, fast wick, suck back up and back to the other side. Still can't hardly find any legs to get under it for it to do anything. All right, here we go. See if they're going to sweep. It just wicked below it some there, and that's not really, you know, I'm thinking 10, 15 points maybe. But in this overall bear trend, and the bearish, it's biased on it as bearish, so everything plays a little bit differently in this trend versus a overall uptrend. So you have to be a little more cautious about whether or not you're willing to take the same trade you would in an uptrend, in a bullish overall uptrend, because same plays don't react the same way. See, now that's not much of a sweep. We only got down to 671. Wasn't no hard sweep here yet, and there may not be. We'll see what they want to do with it. And it's way in the oversold territory, so we could get a drive up here. If the overall trend on a higher time frame was bullish, I'd have already been in this trade. I'd have bought it down here on this prior low for a long, but I just don't trust them trades whenever they don't operate the same when the overall trend is actually bearish. So welcome, we have a new subscriber here. Glad to have you here. If you have any questions, just throw them in the chat. Always like new people. So on the 1 minute here, of course, all this is a breakout structure, a miniature breakout structure, because this is on the 1 minute. But every time you can break a structure on the 1 minute, the higher they get, the higher time frame them structures are anyway. So, you know, ideally we would have to break this little area right here. If it were to get up here and break this, we're probably going to tag the 50 EMA for sure. The S1 pivot are in the same spot right here. But there'd probably be a short trade. I mean, there's not enough juice for this thing to get any good momentum to the upside. So anytime I see these drives up, I start looking for the best short entry. And I mean, it couldn't even break this mini structure here yet. So might have more downside coming in. We talked about it at the beginning when we was way up here. As soon as we come outside of this, broke outside of this opening range break up here, and it's been nothing but downside ever since. I'm gonna hop over to a higher time frame where we can look at some structure here. Let's say on a 15 minute real quick. So, you know, we could get a bounce out of this 1 hour zone here. We got this 1 hour zone down here. I don't know. Man, so everything's so bearish. Just don't know if I'm willing to put up some risk for them right there. No, I think I would rather be trying to find excuse me guys. I'd rather be trying to find a good entry to short because of what's going on instead of trying to find a good entry for a bounce. I mean, it could play some first reaction stuff out of this box to maybe go long out of center, but I'm not going to because the trend's not right for us on the overall picture. So I'm going to sit on my hands until I see something better. You know, I want to see, we need to get some kind of bounce and get the indicators back into the overbought territory to where we can think about, hey, here's a good short entry right here and ride that leg back down. Because now we're getting back into some sideways chop here. So, you know, it's better just be patient. No reason to force trades that ain't actually there. If you guys or gals already taken any trades, let me know in chat. Let everybody see that you're making money, how you did, what you took from the market. That's what we're all showing up for, the same thing. Take it from the market. The new subscribers, if you're not already part of the Discord, you can join the Discord for free. Mess around in there and see where everything's at. Announcements, everything we got going on over there. All right, so maybe it finds some little legs here and walks on up the chart a little bit so we can get into the overbought territory on these indicators. Can't be trying to go short on something that's already down so much without at least getting the leg to the upside to get a good entry. It's another reason a lot of people get chopped out and they're impatient. The market's been down pretty much since it opened today, and people chase, and they just got to be in a trade, and they start trying to scalp candles and ticks and all that mess, and that's just not worth all the hassle. Wait for the setups to come to you. The plan, whatever the trade plan will be. I'm telling you, my trade plan right now is I'm hoping this drives up. We need to get our indicators into the overbought territory. The kill zone indicator has to get up there, and then I will evaluate what I'm looking at to whether or not I want to take a short trade and where that entry should be. You know, I would really prefer we get all the way back up to that other 4-hour zone up in here. Maybe even get up here and tag this trend line that we broke. 50 EMA will be up there inside that box with that trend line, which is a lot of confluence for them, say, to act like a magnet. It sucks the price back up to here. We got the 50 EMA inside a 4-hour zone plus a 4-hour trend line that it busted through. for it to come up here and retest this whole area for an entry to go short. That's just one trade plan that I'm putting together right now as I'm looking at the chart for myself. And that's how I view these charts day in and day out on a daily basis. That's how my mind works. And until something like that starts to show up for me, I don't really understand the reason to even be inside a trade, risking my capital for no reason. It's kind of in limbo. You know, you're in between stages. Okay, so maybe we're going to get the drive up. You know, some people say, well, you should have went long and been in it. Well, I don't want to go. This ain't a good entry to go long. You know, for all I know, this is going to turn around with one 1 minute candle and end up in this green box down here. So that's not a good entry. You know, a good entry would have been at this red line down here if the overall trend was bullish, but our overall trend is bearish. This trade right here would be 100%. I would have took this all day. I talked about it earlier, actually. I would have took this if the overall trend on a higher time frame was bullish. This would have been expected because that's the way it trades in a bullish uptrend. But in a bearish trend, especially on a higher time frame, that's not how these plays work. So you got to be careful taking these trades. You got to be a lot more precise with your entries and your trade plans. So I'd like this to get a little higher, like I said. I want to see this come on up to that 4-hour zone up here with this trend line, this 50 EMA. I like that a lot, but I don't know if we're going to get enough leg under here to get it there. We might. But then that puts my kill zone indicator in almost 80. It is at 80. Or almost 80 on the 1 minute chart. So, you know, if I can get to 80, I don't know if I'm going to get it. If this candle closes red, no, it's not going to. Okay, good. What I'm looking for is my kill zone indicator to get up around 80 in the overbought territory, and then put in the first red candle, and I will go short on the close of the first red candle. That's the trade I want, but I want it to get up in here and be in that, because that's a whole lot of confluence that lines up with the trade strategy. So I might not get it. And if this one, we got 21 seconds left on this candle. If this one closes red, I'll probably go short on the close of the candle, but at 4 seconds, yeah. That was a late entry. So I didn't get I put my stop in there to protect myself. I didn't get the push as hard as I wanted to see off that. I was hoping to see it come down here where I threw my order. But that's why we throw in them stops as soon as we go green. That way we're protecting ourselves for any of this right here. I prefer to take a little bit of green than to break even or end up taking a loss when I was in the green down here. You know, I'd rather take at least something, because I can always readjust, replan, and put another trade plan together pretty fast. it looks like we're going to have more downside coming, but you can see they're sucking this up, trying to protect it. But when it does come down, you see these are getting lower. So this is why, and in this type of trend, these trades are tricky. You know, you don't want to get stuck in here thinking, you know, for instance, say that the overall trend was bullish instead of bearish. This right here would have been an entry to this break of structure right here, where this green candle broke this structure of this red candle, and then this just retested that break of structure. So you could have sat an order down here, it would have got sucked up, and then you caught this move right here. That's typically what you can expect to happen almost all the time inside overall bullish trend, but we're not in that. So you can't, you're putting up more risk taking them same trades when the overall trend is bearish. So now we're going to try to tag the zone I was talking about earlier. See, we're still up in the overbought territory on the indicator, not as heavy as we was. But if we get up in here and it looks like there's a lot of resistance or weakness, I'll be looking to go short on the first close of the first red candle if we get up here. You got to remember, we've been staying under the 50 EMA a whole lot over the last couple weeks. So, you know, and sweeping the 50. So say it comes up here and it even touches the top of this 4-hour box. Maybe even, I don't know, maybe it comes up to this trend line. The idea is all the same still, though. The thing is you can't really, all you can do is try to zoom in on an area where you're most likely going to get that rejection or that sweep. Fact is, it could bust through this box here and then reject around where these wicks did back here, which would put that in, you know, getting in line with this trend line up here. So now that we're up here in this area and tagged it, I'm going to be looking for like I said, the close of the first red candle will be my entry on whatever trade I take here. I am going to take this short here whenever the trade shows up and checks all my boxes off. Unless that first red candle is a candle that ends up down here somewhere and closes, that's not ideal. But you know, you get a little red candle up here somewhere. I mean it can be a decent size, but it can't be no huge leg. You know, it can't be moving 50, 60, 70 points or anything crazy like that. This is exactly right here what I was thinking might happen. If this does do it and this candle closes red, we're going to get a leg down out of here. We got about 30 seconds. See, now we're sweeping up into that area I was just talking about with these wicks over here. It could break this box, sweep these wicks, hit that trend line. We went over all that. Question is it going to suck down and close red? We only got 2 seconds. It's not going to happen. So I'm still going to wait. Is it possible we get up here and tag the S1 pivot? Yes, that's absolutely. Anything's possible when you're looking at NQ and MNQ. I mean, that's just part of the game. But it's known and understanding what you're looking at on chart, you know, and what the best case scenario might be. I mean, everything's in the overbought territory again. So, you know, if this candle, you know, it kind of swept the areas that we was talking about. We're still in that same area. It hadn't taken off to the upside yet. We got about 15 seconds. And so if this candle sucks down and closes red, I'm entering short at the close of that candle, but it's not going to. We got 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see. Looks like they found a little pressure there. This is where patience pays off. Instead of guessing and wondering and asking yourself, should I go long here? Should I short here? Well, I'm just going to try anyway and see what happens. That's not a good plan. You have to be able to look at everything and walk through. See, now we got the S1 pivot here at 790, and then look at this structure here on a 1 minute. So ideally, let me look at something on the 5 minute. Okay, so we're at structure on the 5 minute right where we're at. So see, every time we broke structure on the 1 minute, like I said, eventually you're breaking structure on a higher time frame. We're at the 5 minute now. Question is can we break it, or are we going to get rejected? And then if we do get above the S1 pivot, we got more structure right here. And this falls in line with this hard candle down right here. So we'll see. Did anybody take all this long? If you did, great job, especially if you got in down here, or maybe this break of structure down here on the smaller time frame. All right, I'm going to be looking for entry at the close of the first red candle. We got 10 seconds left or so. If this closes red, I'm entering as soon as the candle closes. Dang, I was late again. Me doing too much talking and not paying attention to my chart. Old room beats got the long. Great job, man. Great job. That was a good one. No doubt about it. Yeah, that didn't quite work out. No, the way I want it. When this candle, when take that entry on the close of the first red candle, you're, this next candle's okay, but what you're looking for is for another quick leg candle down, whether it be anywhere from 5 to 20 points or more. And that wasn't the case. But I was going to be willing to dollar cost average into that a little bit if it did come back up into this area. But I'd rather be out because it really didn't react the way I would expect it to on right off the bat. So I'm going to let that one go. I did get a little bit of green, so a little bit's better than nothing. Not going to try to force it. Not going to try to replay the same trade. See, we're up in here. If we don't get another leg down, all we're going to be looking at is another leg up, or we're going to be chopping sideways. It's getting in that time in the morning where it's a possibility anyway, so it's just not worth the hassle for me to even bother with it. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yeah, we're going to be chopping sideways, and ATR is about 15 on a 1 minute. Yeah, I appreciate it, Room Beats. You have to really, it takes time. It really does. It takes time to work on patience. Like I was talking about earlier, so many people just want to always be in a trade, click, 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 and a lot of times, unless there's a lot of people in chat asking questions, I might be quiet for, any amount of time. I might be my mic will probably be on, but I'll be silent because I just, don't want to fill it up and just be talking a bunch of whatever for no reason. I like to talk about stuff pertaining to trading and helping people win and where I can help understand anything. But I do appreciate you saying that. And from here on out, plan on doing it 5 days a week, same time every day. So hope you can join us whenever you can. I hadn't quite got through my accounts today, of course. So far, which I traded last night too, and I do some evening trading in anymore in the Asia session when it opens up, because I try to spread mine out because of the patience. I'm trying to trade particular trades, and sometimes it just takes more screen time to find them, and so I don't. Some of my accounts were already traded before I started today. That were traded last night, but I still have 2 that I'm working on now that I need to try and hit some daily targets on them, and some funded ones, and then I got a couple evals that I want to trade today and try to pass. Maybe might be later in the day though, or even tonight. I don't know. hopefully we can build up the community here at FTE and have a big group, a big following, somewhere to hang out, make clean trades, all become profitable together with it. My theory is, you know, I haven't been trading NQ a whole lot since the year started, like I was last year. I've been trading more of the micros, and it's one of the things that I try to emphasize on is there's so many people out here trying to hit these home runs. You know, and people seen things I've posted with trading NQ. I've hit some really good licks there. But it's really hard to have good risk management with the minis. So I went down to micros where you could try to keep your risk management tighter. And, you know, it's not really about hitting home runs at all. You know, if you can hit base hits every single day, that'll keep you in the game. And then when you take those payouts, which you're going to love to do, that is what you need to consider the home run, is when you actually get that money put into your account, transferred from your trading account to your banking account. Those are what the home runs are. It's not making $5,000 in one day on one trade, or, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 a day in several different accounts. I've done that, but there's a lot more risk involved with trading like that in order to be able to consistently keep doing that. And then all it takes is one bad day, and it just wipes it all away. So better to just scale down, sit back, take the base hits every single day, and you'll be able to show up tomorrow and the next day and the next day. No matter what, you take the base hits, you will always be able to show back up. I might start trading NQ again here real soon, possibly even later today, but it'll probably be on them evals, and that's only because I raise my risk on my evals, and I can, on the ones that you're allowed to pass in one day, like the ones I'm going to try to pass in Bullinox, I'll trade NQ because I can get more for less, and I know what entries I'm looking for, and so it's easier to pass them with the NQ. Mainly because of the fees. I know you can buy like 10 micros or whatever, but the fees will eat you up doing that. If you're going to trade that many micros, you might as well usually be trading minis. some more of that sideways action. Who all let me see here. What are you guys trading on? What platform? TradingView, NinjaTrader, something else like Wealth Charts or Quantum Tower, whatever that is. I don't know a lot about any of that. I just trade on trading or with NinjaTrader and TradingView. I don't trade from TradingView, but I always have TradingView pulled up on another screen, and I'm watching the 1 minute, 2 minute, and 5 minute at all times, as well as what I'm watching, the NinjaTrader chart that y'all can see. And then I have some higher time frame tabs in NinjaTrader, some for the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and everything else. But having a good layout or system put in place for yourself is always a plus, because when you need to check something very quick, you need to just be able to click on a window when I'm live. And where y'all can see, I just change my screen over that y'all can see to whatever time frame I need, but I also have other windows open. And that's something else. There's some indicators that I like to use but are not on this chart that I built for NinjaTrader and for TradingView. But when you have as many days to load on my chart as I do, it bogs down and tries to freeze up. So like, I don't have my support and resistance lines on my chart right now, of course you can tell, but I do have that indicator. You gotta load like 5 days or less for all the indicators to be on the chart and not freeze your chart. So, and because I like to switch back and forth between the 4 hour and the 1 hour, 15 minute and all that all the time while y'all are watching, then I got to leave enough days to load so that we can look back at structure. Quant Tower and Ninja, room beats. If you're looking to get funded or working on getting funded or evals, if you ain't never checked them out, and check out Bull and Ox or Trade Day and use code FTE for whatever the best discount is currently. I'm in the mix of working with several other prop firms. It's just it's a time thing. Everything takes time. What do we have here? More downside coming. Not really liking none of the price action. Got the sell signal in the 1 minute. I don't really, them signals are good certain times of the day, but they're better when they line up with something. It's something I've never done before, room beats. I'm not going to say that I'm not open to it, but currently I probably will not be. Maybe down the road, maybe in the future. Who knows? I guess one of the main things that I would look at for myself if I ever do get into anything like that I would just have to do my research, and know who I'm collaborating with, as what I would expect they would want to do the same. What kind of trading do they do, room beats? Are they trading futures like what we're doing, or? No, I appreciate that. I'm gonna you know probably give it just a little time down the road, but if you want to message me or something, DM me in Discord or something, with some information there, or who it is, and all that mess. That way it's something I can think about. That'd be great. If anybody has any questions about anything or something, throw them in chat. I'll try to answer them while I'm sitting around waiting on nothing, I feel like. I like to call a lot of my trades sleeper trades, because some of the trade plans I put together, you could fall asleep before they actually hit. But in the event that you do hear snoring, that ain't me falling asleep. That's probably one of my Great Dane dogs, because they sound like humans. All right, room beats. That sounds good. I'll be watching out for it. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to zoom out of this chart just a little bit here so we can get a bigger picture here. Seeing this little channel that we're in right here. It's all inside around this 4-hour box, and then above it here. What we got to think, what are they up to? Are they doing this little sideways action consolidation for a leg up into this area somewhere, 845-ish, up another 100 points or so? Or are they going to break down? My money's breaking down to the downside, but we'll see. Hop over to the 5-minute on here real quick. have a look at a couple things. So we could be in for another leg down, looks like. Definitely don't look too promising for us. I'm gonna call it here for the day, guys. Ain't nothing in the sideway action going for me, but we will be back at it same time tomorrow. If you guys want to join, I appreciate everybody that showed up today. If you stay on, I'll probably still be around Discord some when I come back later in the day. But everybody stay patient and stay green, and have a great trading day. I will see you guys on tomorrow's live episode. Yeah, you're welcome, Room Beats, and everybody else showed up.